I never thought a simple Christmas gift would destroy everything I thought I knew about my family. It all started when my sister, Emma, got one of those at-home DNA test kits. You know, the kind people buy for fun to see if they're 3% Italian or related to Vikings or something. She was always the curious one. So when she told me she ordered one, I laughed and said, "What? Are you planning to find out we're royalty or something?" She grinned. "Maybe I'll find out you're adopted." We both laughed, but if only I knew how close she'd be to the truth. 2 weeks later, the results came in. Emma called me to her room. Her face was pale. She wasn't smiling anymore. She said, something's weird." On her phone, there were charts and graphs showing relatives and DNA matches. She pointed to my name. "You're not showing up as my full sibling," she whispered. My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "It says, half sibling. Like, we share one parent." I froze. I laughed it off at first. Those tests aren't always accurate. But she just stared at me, tears filling her eyes. I already checked twice. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every childhood memory replayed in my mind: birthday parties, vacations, late night talks. We'd always been inseparable. There was no way this test could be right. The next morning, I asked MOM about it. She was in the kitchen making coffee when I said, "Hey MOM, those DNA kits, are they accurate?" She froze mid-stir. The spoon clinked against the mug. "Why?" she asked slowly. I told her what Emma's test said. For a second, she didn't say a word. Then she smiled, but her hands were shaking. "Oh, those things mess up all the time," she said quickly. "Don't worry about it." But I saw the panic in her eyes. That night, I heard my parents arguing behind their bedroom door. Mom's voice was low, trembling. Dad's tone was sharp, angry, scared. I couldn't make out every word, but I heard one sentence clearly. "She was never supposed to find out." I felt my heart sink. Who was she? Emma? Me? The next morning, I confronted them. "Tell me what's going on," I demanded. Dad looked at me like I'd just ripped open an old wound. He sighed and said, "It's complicated." MOM started crying. "Please," she said. "It was a mistake. It was before we were married." That's when I learned the truth. My father wasn't Emma's biological dad. When MOM met Dad, she was already pregnant, but he married her anyway and raised Emma as his own. Everything in my world suddenly felt fake. All those family pictures, all those years of being told we were the same. And now we weren't. Emma locked herself in her room for days. She barely spoke to anyone. I tried to comfort her, but she couldn't even look at me. She felt betrayed not just by our parents, but by life itself. And honestly, so did I. Because now, it wasn't just her secret. It was ours. A few weeks passed, and things inside our house were strange. Dad stopped coming to dinner early like he used to. Emma avoided eye contact with both of us. And Emma? She barely spoke. Every time I looked at her, I saw the same pain I felt, the kind that doesn't fade overnight. One night, I walked into her room. She was sitting by the window, scrolling through old photos on her phone. She looked up and said quietly, "So, what am I supposed to call him now? Dad, or just Mark?" I didn't have an answer. I just sat beside her. She leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, "I wish I'd never taken that stupid test." I wanted to tell her the truth didn't change anything, that she was still my sister, no matter what biology said. But even I wasn't sure anymore, because part of me felt like we'd lost something sacred. Like a thread had snapped that we didn't even know was holding us together. Weeks later, our parents decided to tell the rest of the family the truth. They sat us all down in the living room, the same room where we'd opened Christmas gifts, where we'd laughed and played board games for years. Mom's voice trembled as she said, "I owe everyone an apology. Before I met Mark, I made a mistake, and that mistake has been hidden for too long." The silence was heavy. You could hear the ticking of the wall clock. Dad looked straight ahead, his eyes red but calm. He said, "I knew from the start. I chose to love Emma like she was my own, and I still do. Nothing changes that." That broke something in me, because for the first time, I realized what real love looked like. The kind that doesn't depend on DNA, but on choice. After that day, things didn't magically go back to normal. Emma stopped calling him Dad for a while. She pulled away from all of us. But slowly, over the months, she started showing up again: family dinners, birthdays, small talk. Then, about 6 months later, something unexpected happened. Emma got a message on Facebook from a woman named Laura. It said, "Hi, I think we might be related." That night, she showed it to me. We were sitting on the couch, both nervous, both curious. The woman claimed to be her biological aunt. Emma wanted to ignore it. She said she couldn't handle another shock. But curiosity got the best of her. They met a week later, and that's when Emma found out her biological father had died years ago. But he had another daughter, another half-sister. When she came home that night, Emma looked different, calmer, almost lighter. She told me, "It's weird, but meeting her didn't feel wrong. It felt like closing a chapter I didn't even know was open." I smiled. "So now you have two siblings?" She laughed. "For the first time in months." "I guess I do. But you always be my real one." That hit me hard, because for the first time since that stupid DNA test, I believed it too. Over the next year, Emma stayed in touch with her new half-sister, but she came back closer to us than ever before. Dad and MOM went to therapy together and healed, and I learned something that stuck with me forever. Family isn't written in your blood. It's written in your choices, your loyalty, and your love. If you've ever felt like your family is falling apart, remember this. Truth might hurt, but it also sets you free. And sometimes that freedom gives you the chance to build something even stronger.